welcome back. Episode 116 of the Ranting Rangers podcast in partnership with Inside the Rink. I'm your host, Jacob Berkowitz, and I'm alongside my co-host, Brett. Brett, how's it going?
Oh, so good. It's not like everything is an absolute dumpster fire right now.
I mean, things were looking so promising, and then
how's that?
Man, this sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's the worst. I mean, honestly, and I know we're going to talk about it anyway, but Chytil really is. I mean, he was of like this team that's been a team for like 5 years now. Of those people, like he's always been like the one that had my heart. I've loved him from the moment he came up, and I don't even really care about the Rangers season as much as I'm just like, I don't want to see him, the head injuries that can happen can just be absolutely just so devastating to your quality of life. And I just feel he seems like such a good kid. And I just hate that a non-contact thing happens in practice and he's gone for the rest of the year now. It's like, I don't really care about him being gone for the season so much as it is like, I'm just worried about him in general. It just like, it blows my mind that there is like on hockey Instagram, if you're ever on there, there's like it's always like the lowest level of comments, but that Gallagher elbow hit that he got 5 games for, people like, oh, I'm sorry, this guy, he was playing hockey. Oh, people now are so soft nowadays. I'm like, if that is your opinion that hockey players are too soft and the league is doing too much to prevent massive traumatic head injuries, you're a fucking idiot and you need to get professional help, because it's absolutely absurd that you have a kid like Filip Chytil, who's what is he, 24 years old, 23, 24? 24, right?
23? Oh, it might be 24.
24. He's right around there and very well could have his career over because of head injuries. It's like, it makes me sick that anyone could question the league trying to go after this stuff, and they need to do it, and they need to do a lot more, because it's just it just sucks to have a guy like that that's like such a good dude have to deal with this now and not even just not play hockey, but like have his quality of life questioned. So it's so deflating, not even just as like a fan of the team and I want them to do well, but just as like a human level. It's just it's really hard to deal with. So beating up on the 4th worst team in hockey doesn't really do a whole lot for me. I'm very happy for this All-Star break right now. I mean, I think the team needs a reset. I feel like I need a reset from the Rangers right now too, because it's not a great place to be. So
what a difference!
How I am, that's how I am right now.
What a difference 2 months makes.
Oh my God,
we were on cloud 9.
Oh yeah,
best in the league, on pace for what, like 120 points.
How are we still first in the Metro, by the way?
That's how good the Rangers were in October, November, and some of December. That's how good they were.
It's absurd.
Also, the Metro isn't as crazy this year.
No, it's not. The Metro is kind of a soft division, I think, overall. But still, it is kind of crazy that we've gone on a schneid like we've been on and still somehow maintaining that position. But yeah, honestly, like I'll warn the listeners up front. I'm like, I think this will be a shorter podcast because I really.
Hold on. Let's get this out of the way here. What the hell are with these All-Star jerseys?
We're just going to transition right into the All-Star.
What is this? We'll go back. But this is one of those things that's going to be lost, and we're going to stop before we get to it. But we need to address this. This is like one of those jerseys where you're like at school and you go to the gym and they have like 20 of these and they got like them each for 50 cents at the dollar store. Those random ones, and then they put them in a bin. Those are the ones like you get from the bin. And if you pick them up, those are the designs.
Yeah. Oh,
that's what it looks like.
It's truly atrocious. I don't know who they have doing it.
Who said this is a good idea? I like this.
It's one of those things like it's not just that somebody designed it and then they're the jersey.
And someone said I like it.
Designed it, and then I assume more than one person also went through and was like, yeah, looks good. No notes. Keep it going. I like it. Like a team of people were responsible for that. It is
and I take it back. It's not the All-Star game. It's not the All-Star game. It's the Some All-Stars game. That's probably the new name for it, because now with every team getting a player in the All-Star, I don't. That makes no sense. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. And honestly, it makes, because like all-star games traditionally in sports, it is something that gets pointed to at the end of a guy's career about how many all-star games they made, because it's like an indicator of like how well they played throughout their career versus their competition year in, year out. It means nothing now. It's like, oh, he made the all-star game 4 times. And like, who cares? Like, was he the best player on his team for 4 years and that's it? But he wouldn't have made it if it was actual real meritocracy. It's stupid.
Well, if you were drafted in like the top 5, that's it. You're set for life. Because if you have the name,
and you play on a crap team, yeah,
right,
yeah.
You got to get it. It's not even a question. I just don't get it. I don't get it. But hey, Trocheck does. Like, that's a thing. Like, I don't remember who tweeted it, but like someone mentioned like regarding Trocheck about how, like, did they go through a few calls before Trocheck? I mean, like, you want to say about that just Sturkin, okay? But Trocheck, I mean, he's been our best center this whole year.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, he 100% deserves this. In fact, he should have been the original one if it weren't for Panarin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If it wasn't Panarin, yeah.
Yeah, I have no problem with Trocheck making it. I'm happy because he's played amazing this year, and especially
they shouldn't have it in Toronto. They shouldn't have it in Toronto. Like, you're going to Trocheck saying, "Hey, Trocheck, what are you doing the All-Star break?" "Oh, I'm going with my family to the Bahamas." "No, you're not. You're going to the frozen tundra of Toronto." "Oh, great. Thanks, guys." Bring it to a nice place. Like, I don't get.
Well, hold on. Okay, couple things here. First off, Toronto is not a frozen tundra. Toronto is literally not even an hour and a half north of where I am right now. It's not a frozen tundra out here right now. It's like 40 degrees, okay?
And compared to where they were going to go.
Well, okay, yeah, fine, but so would anywhere then. But like, and Toronto is a great city, okay? It really is. I mean, it's the New York City of Canada, and it really is. Like, now, is it New York City? No, obviously it's not. It's way smaller, but it is. It's a almost anything you'd want to do, you can find in Toronto. It's a great city to be in. So I take exception to you acting like they're playing this game in Siberia. So yeah, no. Now maybe would they
get like 11 feet of snow like per storm or something like that?
No. Where do you think that? No. That's not how any of this works.
I'm sorry, like six. Okay, fine.
No.
How many times have you mentioned like there's like a ridiculous amount of
6 feet of snow? That is what you're suggesting.
What?
What you're suggesting is every time it snows in Toronto, it's snowing 6 feet.
No, I'm just saying it's frequent that you come here, you communicate with me, and it's to the point where it's 6 feet of snow. There's a snowstorm. How many feet did you guys get the biggest storm this year?
I mean, I personally got like a foot, and then again, like, I don't know, another 8 to 10 inches the following week. Now in the South towns, they get a lot more. I think they got like 3.
Wait, that's it?
Me. But lake effect snow is very banded. It's very, if you're by the lake, you get a ton more snow because it feeds off the water, and that produces a lot more snow. I live by the river. I don't live by the lake. I'm north of the lake. So if you're in the South towns, then you get the lake effect snow, and you can get an extreme amount of snow. I think they got like a dump of 3 feet and then like another foot after that, something like that. So yeah, the lake effect snow can be a lot, but it's not this frozen tundra. It's not Siberia. It's really not. It's not crazy, and it's not an undesirable place to be. If you said he had to go to Winnipeg, now you're talking. Now that is a frozen tundra. That is terrible.
Don't give them ideas.
And it's a city with it's not a great city, okay? But Toronto is a place that I think anybody should be happy to go to. If you're trying to go to the Bahamas, yeah, that's a big change of pace. But
yeah, it is. I'm not saying Trocheck was planning on going there. I'm just saying that.
Well, yeah, and ideally, going to the All-Star game should be an honor. It should be a privilege. It should be fun. It should be something.
It is like your first time, but after that.
But that's the thing. But no one. That shows you how bad and how poorly the All-Star game is managed that a lot of players would rather just not go.
Well, yeah, that's my point.
That says a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just took exception to your characterization of Toronto as a city. That's not the problem.
Okay. You're not arguing with my point that All-Star is a disaster.
It's a disaster.
You're arguing about the Toronto
it's
factor.
just
that's fair.
It's fine for it to be in Toronto. It's a perfectly great city for it to be.
Okay. Well, they got the draft this year, so I guess that's something. And that's
it is the biggest hockey city in the world. You know, if you were really taking it. You're talking about the number of people that care about hockey concentrated in one city. Toronto is going to win that every single time.
Yeah, it's just, you know, not the greatest weather.
It's hockey.
But I'm just saying, like, from the player's perspective.
Sure. Okay.
Well, now that we got our little rant from the All-Star game out of the way, because we had to get that on here. There's no way. Sure. Back to the Rangers. What do you? Yeah, we're going back to the Rangers here. What do you do at this point? I mean, look, everyone was happy about that. I mean, it doesn't fix or undo or anything from the past month, but it was nice to get that win Saturday night. But I mean, what do you do at this point? Like, if you're Chris Drury, what's your plan here?
Who was it? Was it Luker on Twitter that proposed the trade with Minnesota? It was like Keandre Miller, a first and a fourth for Eriksson Ek and a second. And
I think he might have quote tweeted it, though it might have been him. I'm not sure. I think
it was him that originated it. It might not have been. It might not have been. I could have that wrong. It doesn't matter. A trade like that, honestly, I think is what you need to do. I mean, I'm not anxious to get rid of Keandre Miller, but like he's not helping this team right now. Give him to a team that's already out of contention, that wants his high upside, that can be a little bit more patient. I think that's a great move because I mean we need more help in our top six. We absolutely do.
I mean, there is an argument that to not go for a rental, but to go with someone with term.
Yeah, right? Like him. Right. He's cost controlled for like the next 5 years at like $5.2 million, something like that.
I mean, look, the dream would be to get Yanni Gourde.
That's the dream.
I mean, like, I'm not saying he's Eriksson Ek, but I'm just saying like he's that player, that perfect player that the Rangers would need. Also, have you seen his playoff stats? Like, he goes next level in the playoffs compared to his regular season stats. That sandpaper game, what is he, 5.6 million for the next year?
He's like a half point.
No. I'm not saying he's Eriksson Ek. I'm just saying that type of play because I don't think Eriksson Ek is realistic.
Well, no, he may not be realistic, but I don't know. I think we can dream bigger than Yanni Gourde at this point. You don't think so?
I mean, how many assets do we have that we're willing?
Yanni Gourde is also 5.1 million. He's 32, 5.1 million and a half point game. What do you see in Yanni Gourde?
Well, first of all, Joe Eriksson Ek. First of all, with players like Joe Eriksson Ek, right? You're gonna have to give a lot. Now, obviously, that specific trade isn't on the table because that would like be enticing. But any trade with someone with term, it's got to be a lot. And the Rangers, I mean, they're not going to trade Othman. They're not going to trade Perreault. I mean, yeah, they have Sikora, Berard, and stuff, but they don't have like any true blue chip prospects that they're going to be willing to trade. They have a first round this year, and next first round. I mean, at a certain point, maybe in the offseason, like, do you have to question like how much are we going to have to give if we want to get Goodrow off our books? Right. That's assets somewhere else. I mean, there's only so much you can give to the point where that's why I mentioned Yanni Gourde. Now, obviously, Seattle might not want to get rid of him because he's at that point where he's not a crazy superstar or anything, but his style of play is what the Rangers would need, which is why I mentioned. To clarify, when I mentioned Yanni Gourde, I wasn't comparing him to Joel Eriksson Ek.
Well, no, obviously not.
No, of course not.
But also, I don't want to have to deal with him next year then either, though. That's the other thing, having him on the books for almost 5.2 million for next year too.
Then I'd argue the same thing with Joel Eriksson Ek.
But Joel Eriksson Ek isn't 32 years old and is not a half point per game player.
Well, no, but I'm saying is like you still have the same problem cap wise. Obviously, they're different players, but you still have that same problem cap wise.
Right, but if we're gonna have, but they're almost the same cap. I'd rather go with a guy that's actually really good rather than the guy that's like on the well into the back nine of his career.
Right, but I don't think Joel Eriksson Ek is going to be realistic. Although it's very possible Yanni Gourde isn't realistic either. Like, I mean, if Shane Wright, they're expecting Shane Wright to come up next year. They have Beniers, they have McCann. Who else is what's his name? Starts with a W. Wenberg, but he's a free agent this year.
Oh yeah, it's Wenberg. Yeah,
he's a free agent this year. So I don't know. Maybe they don't have room at center. Maybe they'll bring Yanni Gourde to the wing, but I mean, it's an absolute mess because, I mean, look, you had Nick Bonino as your 3C for 2 months, right? Like, I just wish like we could at least plug in a 3C for a couple weeks and say, all right, was it the depth problem and injuries caught up to them, or this team is just not it? I don't think obviously this team is what it actually was this month. I don't think that's the case. This is all-time low. This is bedrock. This is not who they're going to be. But the question is, how close to that November play are they? And unfortunately, we can't buy anything, like probably not even a box of tissues or anything like that. So, I mean, is there anyone enticing that for you, or?
I mean, I think you got to just start looking through the graveyard of teams and seeing who's available or who's who's not going to be looking to really keep a player going forward.
And by the way, no thank you to Sean Monahan.
Yeah, why is that?
5v5 is mid. Oh, then again, everyone on this 5v5 is mid. He's going to cost way too much. He's the one right after Lindholm. So that's why I think you'd go after Adam Henrique. He's not going to cost as much. He is also playing on the Ducks, so take his numbers with a bit of a grain of salt. He also, no, I guess it's not relevant anymore because just in case at the time when Chytil was coming back, but originally I liked him because he also plays wing, so he could have slotted to the wing. But at this point, I mean, like Monahan's going to cost so much. I just don't. And also, I'm not a fan of his game. It's just, if you could get Anaheim to retain for Adam Henrique and it not cost a lot, and then snag a guy like Duclair from San Jose, I think that's a solid two. Again, that's like a dream I see as American. That's kind of like a dream scenario, but cap-wise, it's a realistic one.
I think what we should do is we should get Toronto to retain salary on William Nylander for the rest.
Yes, of the that is a good one. Good pick.
I think that would be a really good move for us. That could really help us out a lot. I don't know if you've watched this Willie Nylander kid, but man, he looks like he might be something.
Really?
Yeah, I think he might be him. Yeah, I really do. I do wonder.
Also, I'm sorry. I know I'm interrupting you, but like I see people saying that they're not going to trade anything at the trade deadline. They're not going to get a rental. They're not going to get an acquisition or everything. Like, does everyone forget who the owner is?
Yeah.
Like, you really think he's going to have it where they're just going to sit on their hands for the rest of the regular season and call it a day?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen. It will never happen. It might be a long-term, like a player with term then maybe, but to think that there's going to be no acquisition whatsoever is just, it's not going to happen. There's got to be something.
You would think, and you would hope. I would be shocked if they're not making moves, and especially with the cap that we do get back with Chytil been gone. It's like we do have money to spend now, and we absolutely had the need for it. So it wouldn't really make a lot of sense for us to just to stand pat. I don't think some of the, like when you say like some of these people are going to cost way too much money, like I don't think Monahan's going to take an absolute haul. I really don't think it'd be a ticket haul to pull him in. I mean, Montreal has very little leverage with him. He's a UFA. He's on the final year of his contract. He doesn't need to. They don't really have any leverage in that situation. Now, it depends on how many teams are shopping for him will drive the price up, sure, but you're not going to find – I don't think you're going to find like 5 teams, in the hunt for the playoffs this year that are going to be willing to part with an absolute haul for a short term, for having a month or two of Sean Monahan. I don't think – I think that's going to put a lid on how much people are going to be willing to pay for him.
It's more of a supply and demand thing. The other one you mentioned, it's more of a supply and demand thing for me because after Lindholm, it's him. Like it's not. There aren't a lot of centers on the market. It's once Lindholm goes, I mean, all eyes are going to be on Monahan.
Yeah, but supply and demand doesn't mean that somebody can just set their price. I mean, if
by what do you mean by what would your price be
for him? I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what he's going to be going for. I can't say. I'm always surprised both ways. Anytime when the deadline comes down, I'm always surprised both ways by what happens. There's players that go, and I'm like, damn, I would have thought he would have got a lot more than that. And there's players that go that I'm like, damn, that guy's got an absolute haul. But I'm just saying that like Sean Monahan is not like I mean, he's a big step down from Lindholm to be fair. And he's also like it's a mid-level rental. It's not a flashy, it's not something that's really going to like super turn the tide. I don't think you're going to see a lot of teams are going to be willing to mortgage their future. You're not going to get 2 firsts and a prospect.
Yeah, no, that what they said there, I don't see that. I was saying like a first, maybe a mid-round prospect and a pick, but the thing is that's all the Rangers have, so they can't get anything else after that. They still need to get a right winger.
Yeah, but it is true. It is true. It's tough. I mean, we're gonna absolutely see what Chris Drury is really made out of with what he's able to do now. If he's actually the slick wheel and dealer that a lot of people think that he is, then we'll see it. And if he does, I'll be the first in line to congratulate him. But yeah, they're not going to send Pat, but like I'm not expecting a game-changing haul to come down, in a few weeks.
I mean, also you got to get a 4C. That's another thing. You wait, Benino. I mean that though, like you get those like a dime a dozen. Like
I'm not that worried about a 4C.
Not really right. That's not really the concern. I mean, also with the thing with Adam Henrique is that a lot of these top players don't go usually until the end because they're going to wait until teams get desperate and they, the bidding war piles up. But with Adam Henrique, he's not the hot commodity. So is something really going to change of the price between 2 weeks now and the trade deadline? Whereas if you could get him earlier, the sooner the better, to get him more acclimated, to get this team going quicker, which is also enticing.
Well, yeah, and this team obviously needs a shot in the arm now. And yeah,
Connor Mackey saved the Rangers, by the way. I know that was a very random thought, but you just reminded me that when
for me.
What?
Yeah, fill that out. Expand on that.
Where Connor Mackey had the fight Saturday night, and then afterwards the Rangers just exploded 4 goals in like 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
yeah. That's like the Trouba throw 2.0.
Right.
But anyway, what were you saying? I'm sorry.
No. I'm thinking I'd be fine with Henrique, and obviously I think there is obviously a big benefit to us making a move sooner rather than later, not waiting to the deadline. Obviously, you have to have a willing trade partner, so we'll see about that. But yeah, this team could use an injection of some fresh life for sure. Also, before we go, I do want to ask your opinion on the Trouba elbowing suspension.
I just wish there was, again, like the consistency in the suspensions. Like when there are 2 suspensions that are close to each other with 2 individual incidents, and then they shouldn't be that close in regarding a punishment or anything like that. That's what's kind of frustrating. Honestly, yeah, when I saw that, I'm like, what are you talking about? He's suspended. But I saw the video. I mean, I don't know. It's more of like, what did Gallagher get?
5. That was very intentional, though.
I think he should have gotten way more than that.
Well, 5 is about the max that they do for any of these type of hits, though.
But that's my point. Like you're like equivalent.
No, I know, but I'm just saying. When was the last time a player for a hit like that, an elbow, or a hit to the head? When was the last time you saw a player get more than 5 games? I can't remember.
Of course not, because George Peros is the head of the NHL player
safety.
5
games is about the max you see for any hit like that. Like it would take. I mean,
what did Miller get last year?
Huh?
What did Miller get last year? Condre Miller?
I don't recall.
You got like 3?
Maybe.
You're gonna say it's that close to Gallagher's level?
Oh no, absolutely not. No, I don't. I think those a hit like Gallagher to me should be absolutely double digits. I mean, if they were really serious about protecting the players, like they should be.
There's about protecting the players.
Yeah, absolutely. They should. They should do that.
No, they should. I'm just saying it's a joke because they absolutely do not.
But I see a hit like Trouba's and I'm like, I don't really know that he really meant to do that at all. Now, obviously, I'm a fairly biased person when it comes to that, but it does not have the same menace as so many hits that either go unpunished or lightly punished. It's not the same. It's not even the same play in any way, shape, or form as the Gallagher hit. But you're right. I do think when there are kind of plays like that in tandem, they do tend to try to like lump them together, but that's stupid. It's like, hey, let's add recency bias into our already extremely biased system of punishments. It's pretty fucked.
It's really
yeah.
There's something. By the way, I forgot to mention this before. Elliot Friedman said I'm not sure where, but I know for a fact he said that he believed the Rangers were already in the market for a center anyway. When the Chytil announcement was made.
Oh, I mean, they'd be stupid not to, right? Like, there's no way they could have trusted that the Chytil was going to come back.
No.
Like, be fine. So of course they were. Yeah.
Most likely a player that is like center or wing type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be nice.
But I guess not. Yeah.
Yeah, we also need a winger because we need to get. I gotta say too, I am so tired of. I hate every time Blake Wheeler scores a goal now. I'm like, no, do not validate.
If he scores the game-winning goal, you're like, God dang it.
I'm like, why anybody but Wheeler? And it's not that I want him to fail. I need to make that clear.
You don't want the Rangers to think he's successful.
Think he can do it. Exactly. I don't. And I know what happens is that hockey people are stupid. I think, and sports people are stupid very often in general too. They're like, oh, well, he's put in 9 goals. He's not doing so bad. It's like, can we roll tape on all 9 goals and tell me what plays he's making that made that happen? Like, can I also roll tape on like this entire season so far of him looking like me out there skating? Like, it's not good and it doesn't work. And I don't like him being taking up top minutes. Like, we need to make sure that we have, we need a third line center. We also need a winger to make sure that we're not pushing Blake Wheeler anywhere near that top 6. Ideally, nowhere in the top 12.
Right.
An injury call up,
I just hope that they do it sooner rather than later. That they don't wait till close to the trade deadline, because it was a nice win, but there are so many things you got to fix, and it's going to
nice win against the Senators.
Right, but like that's the thing. Like they need these new players soon, so they get acclimated and everyone gets settled down and they go to fixing things. Because if you're a third line center. And no disrespect to the real Johnny Hockey here, but Johnny Brzezinski is your 3C. You're going to have problems. Yeah. And if Wheeler is your top 6 winger, you are going to have problems. They are not the specific, exact, and sole reason.
No. They're not the actual problem. You're absolutely. They're not the problem. But you're absolutely right. You cannot go into and say we're going to make a real run at the playoffs with Blake Wheeler in your top 6 and Johnny Brodzinski as your third line center. That is capitulation. You might as well become sellers at the deadline if that's your plan.
Right. But also get them sooner rather than later, because like the defense is the problem, the structure is the problem. It's not necessarily like individual players, but having those players is got to help. It's got to bring confidence. They're going to get acclimated, much sooner towards the playoffs. Yeah, but I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see, because honestly, this trade deadline is hot garbage. It's not like past years.
No,
One
but
last, yeah.
I still do have a little bit of faith that I think that Drury might be able to pull off. A
Oh,
lot of people think he's more of a wizard than I do overall. I don't think he's done poorly overall. He surprised me sometimes. This is his opportunity to really make me a fan, and I know that he lives and dies on whether or not I'm a fan of what he does. He is all up in my mentions all the time. He's like one of my reply guys. He's always in my DMs, like, bro, what do you think we should do? And I'm like,
you ever give him like advice which player to go with?
Yeah, I know.
Well, what the heck? Why haven't you mentioned to him before this year Chytil for 2C?
I know. Well, it was really this year when he was like, man, this Brett guy really knows his stuff. And so, but honestly, like, I'm tired. Sometimes he's hitting me up. It's 2 a.m. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to go to sleep right now. You need to figure this out on your own. But he could have. I'm hoping. I hold out hope that he might actually be the guy that a lot of people think he is, and he can make a deal happen. So.
Yeah, I also wonder if it's going to be more like 2 years ago rather than, well, I mean, we kind of said it in this.
Oh, you mean like and Patty?
Yeah, it's going to be more like 2 years ago rather than last year. Like, get
2 years ago would be fine.
Oh no, I'm fine with that. In fact,
I would take that exact same. Getting caught.
Yeah. We would all like to bring it back.
I would take that.
Of course we would.
The exact same thing you did before. I'd be fine with it.
I'll take. Wow.
I'll take Kopp on the third line and Vetrano on top 6. Yeah, I'm very cool with that.
It's so frustrating because ever since they've traded Buchnevich and then let go of Vetrano, they've never been able to figure out who's going in there. Kappa for a while seemed like he could be. I don't know what's gonna.
Can and should, but they don't. It appears they don't think so.
No, and like there are so many things he does besides producing points. I mean, it was clear when he was injured. It was so clear. But I don't know. Hopefully they acquire someone soon. And yeah, Chris Drury, his best moves have been at the trade deadline. So I don't know. We'll see. But hey, we got Barclay Goodrow at $3.6 million. So
yeah.
All right.
Sick.
Last question, by the way, and then we'll wrap this up because get exhausted. Owen Tippett signed for $6.2 million, I believe. Extension. I don't know how. Yeah. Would you be willing to offer Lafreniere something similar now? So in 2 years, when it ends, it's in 2 years, right? Not 2. They didn't have a 2-year bridge. You had a 3-year bridge, right? All right. Wait, that's in the plan.
Anyway. It was a 3. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
1 or 2 more years where you risk think about it. All it takes is an offseason working on a shot and finishing, and maybe it starts going his way a little more, and he's looking more at like a 30-goal scorer rather than a 20-goal scorer. And maybe not 6.2, but I'm saying, what would you be willing to give for an extension right now?
I'd be willing to see his current extension out to see what he is actually capable of doing.
You wouldn't risk it?
I don't really want to gamble with it. I mean, I have high hopes for him still, and he's taken a noticeable step in his overall performance and play. But there's a lot of guys in this league that can look really great and be, a useful addition, but can't rack up the points. And I don't think this team can afford to lock up cap space in a guy that's not going to generate the points.
Right. Well, I mean, this is, I guess, it's a theoretical.
I hope and think he will, but like the risk reward right now, I think is still too high in the risk category.
You couldn't even sign him to an extension because of those 2 years, because the extension would start in 2 years, but you can't do it until the year before.
Right.
But if you knew like it could start in 2 years, when that one ends,
I don't like.
You wouldn't gamble it.
No, not right now. No, I need to see more.
Really? I mean, it's fair to like say you don't know what he is yet, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's out of the question because I mean, man,
no, it's not an outrageous question. I don't think so. No, it's not. It's not. But I don't like it because I need to see the points first before I start handing out big money. I think it's smart for some of these GMs to be giving some of these players that, like I feel like Owen Tippett's a lot different than Lafreniere. I think he's shown that he can be a real goal scorer. I mean, he's already had Full stats. Yeah. Last year he had 27 goals on a very garbage Flyers.
I wasn't really comparing to the players. Really, I was comparing more to the gambling.
I think it's less. That's what I'm saying. I think it's less of a gamble for a player like Tippett and some of these other players that teams have gone around and given extensions to before they've fully popped off. To me, that's a smart move. It's a move you kind of got to make if you really want to lock up a good young core long term. That is, I think, a smart move to make. I don't think that's a Lafreniere situation yet. To me, it's still too risky at this point. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fair. All right, I think we're going to end it off here. That was a bit of an all over the place episode, but hopefully, the closer we get, maybe even in a week, we'll have more of an idea of what players we could go after, if whether it's a rental or whether it's a player with term. I'll definitely be looking into it this week. I haven't been looking into players with term yet until obviously the news this morning. But anyways, Brett, you got anything else, or we wrap it up?
No, I got nothing else right now.
Stadium Series jersey, you liked?
Yeah, I think it's
I just liked it because it was something different.
Yeah, it's something different, and I like that. I don't mind it. I wish the same thing I felt about their.
Although they're selling it next week. No one's gonna get it until after the Stadium Series.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I just wish that they, just like I felt with their alternate jerseys this year, that just the logo need to be shrunk down just like 15%.
Yeah. What's with everything being way over?
It's really oversized to me. But other than that, I really like the design. I think it's cool, and I do like it. It's not one that I would buy, but I also don't get the hate that people have for it. But everyone's got their own opinions, and almost everyone is wrong all the time. So it's fine. I'm used to it.
Alrighty. Thank you to the listeners, and we will see you next time.